Yo, what is up, Crockxen clan members, anime fans, and others who have upon this video? I'm SoresanCrockxen, and today we're going to be tackling the Kawai Complex Guide to Manners and Hostile Behaviors. Let's go. Now, I've decided to kind of revamp this anime time series by doing like separate things, adding some new things. Hopefully, like the little image. Hopefully, if it worked, the image you saw before seeing me with a little soundtrack. I'm basically splitting it up into sections. We're gonna talk about story, animation, and then finally the characters, and at the very end, what I think, whether I think it's worthy to watch for you guys. So the first thing is we're gonna talk about the story. So the Kawaii Complex is essentially it's kind of like a rom-com, romantic comedy. For those of you guys who know that, which stars our two main characters, Usa and Richan. Now, these two characters, Richan is 1 year older than Usa. Now, Usa's parents moved out, and so he's going to high school where they're at, and so he didn't move with them, so he has to find a place to stay. And his mom finds him a place called the Kawai Complex, which is essentially like a board house, but it's kind of like you're renting a room, but it's a big house where different people live, and they're all renting a room, and you pay monthly. And so in high school, our main character Usa notices Richan in the library. Richan is like a typical she's a standard normal girl who enjoys reading. So he finds her in the library because he has library duty. He has one of those. I don't know if it's just because in my high school I remember that there was certain I guess jobs you could do around the school. Like you could be a teacher's aide or a principal aide, or you could be working in the library like reorganizing and putting books away. So I'm gonna assume that's what he was doing, and he kind of falls in love with her, or as much as you can fall in love with someone just by seeing them and not interacting. Later on, he finds out that they're staying in the same complex, and through the story, it's basically his journey to kind of get her attention and maybe have a shot with her. And throughout this journey, well, the other residents of the complex kind of make it hard for him. But we're gonna talk about that in the character section. But it's very linear. It's very funny. I do like the comedy. I will say these two are not my favorite characters. So, but like I said, the characters section will be later on. But overall, it's a pretty nice, decent story. I do enjoy the romance parts. The comedy is hilarious, at least from my perspective. But yeah, so that's essentially for the story. So let's move on to the animation style. Now, I'm not the most anime style diverse person out there, so I'm probably gonna be redundant half the time when I'm doing this section. I think the animation was fine. I did feel a little weird when they sometimes went like half chibi on certain sections. Like they only chibied up like maybe like a face or like the body, like just there was very sometimes awkward moments where they would be having a serious conversation and then they would do that, and I would just get thrown off. I thought it was adorable sometimes because it kind of was used to show off like maybe some like deep emotions that they didn't want to express. So they kind of changed the art style for that particular moment for that particular character, just to kind of like so you can see the struggle of them trying to hide this. But overall, I mean, it was nice. It flowed very well, and it's actually a very new series. This one came out. I think it ended in June, at least the first season. I don't know. I don't expect the season two. But if we do get one, I know there's an OVA that's gonna come out in December, and I'm definitely watching that. But I mean, the animation is really nice. It's very smooth. Like I said, the only issues I had were those random moments. When they suddenly change, like it was usually the head, where they just like you still see the body normally, but then their head gets all chibied up and big, and their eyes get all round and like one colored. Like it was really awkward. But sometimes the moments were great when they added that section. So, but yeah, so that's the basic animation style. So let's move on to characters. The last part of this anime time is going to be characters, and this is probably the one topic where most of the series that I do a review on, I'm going to be on the most, because to me, characters make an anime. Not, I mean, story wise, yes, it can have an impact, but to me personally, I like characters, and if I don't like the characters, I'm not going to care about how great the story is and how great the animation is or how great everything else is. I focus on characters. I would like to have characters that I either can correlate with or just that are enjoyable to watch. So we've already talked about the two main characters. Well, we haven't really talked about, but we already mentioned them. So Usa is he's the typical nice guy. I actually, even though I don't like him as a character, I actually do connect with him because I am that type of person. I'm just nice to everybody. I do have an angry side, but that one is like reserved for like big brother status, big brother situations. But for the most part, he's a very nice guy to everybody. He doesn't like to show angry emotions, and for the most part, he feels in his quest to, I guess, get Ritu's attention. Sometimes he does feel shot down, and he does have his depressing moments, but he's still always nice to everybody. Ritsu, obviously, her character is the most off-putting out of the series, especially since actually her last name, since the Kawai complex is actually hers, well, her grandfather's, her grandpa died, but she's, I guess, the next heir of the complex or whatever. She basically makes up with the rules, but she's a very she's not shy. She just doesn't bother with people. She's essentially, how do I put this? She's a character that just doesn't like to interact with others because she feels it's a nuisance to herself. She likes to be alone, reading her books because her books have millions of possibilities, and she's always intrigued with her stories and all that stuff. And that's actually a thing that Usa kind of tries to get involved with. Like he tries to get involved with her story, with her books, her stories, so that he can maybe have a conversation with her. Throughout the story, she does start opening up with him more, which is nice. But for the most part, she's always very reserved in terms of her character. Then you have Sumiko, which is technically, I guess, the owner. Well, not the owner, but the caretaker. She's right now the manager of the complex. She's the one that allows people to come in or kicks them out. She collects rent. She is the sister to Ritsu's grandfather, so she's like her great aunt, I guess you would consider that. She's a very cool lady. She has a very dark side though. Like if you act bad, she's gonna glare, and it's like the most intense thing in the world. And she's always does it with a smile on her face, so she looks very psychotic. But I freaking love that about her though. She's a fun, enjoyable character. Now, one of my favorite characters, Shirosaki. He's kind of perverted, but not in the sense where he like. I mean, yeah, I guess he does enjoy looking at people, but he's like the one that likes to take punishment. So like he's very acute with like rope tying, and like he likes to tie himself up, and he likes to get beat up, he likes to get hit, he likes to get glared at and talked bad towards. It like excites him, and there's moments where you just see him get like so into whatever they're saying that they actually have to like censor what happens. It's really ridiculous. But he's always fun character to see, and he's actually like, I guess he would be like the second oldest character. But he's very mature. Like sometimes, like when it comes to like a mature topic, like he can be serious. But for the most part, I didn't like that was basically reserved for like there was an episode dedicated to him and his little girl who didn't have any friends or was basically rejected by her friends because she said something mean, and so she was basically using him as an excuse to have somebody to talk to, and like he was being very mature about it because she actually develops a crush on him. He's like, ooh, like but he's very nice about it. He only likes 18 and up. He actually says that once. It's pretty funny. Then you have our two very antagonistic characters. Like there's no real bad guys in the show. It's a rom-com. There's not gonna be any bad guys. But these are the two you would consider the bad guys. Yeah, Mayumi and Sayaka. Mayumi is a very off-putting character. Like she's a mature woman, right? She's old. She's in her 30s. I think that's what they mentioned. Um, but she has no. Basically, anytime she tries to get in a relationship, it always ends up with a horrible guy who does something bad. There was this guy who actually, I think it was like three timed her. Like he was going out with three other chicks while going out with her at the same time. So I think that would be fourth. The point is, he was dating more than one girl at the same time, and there was this other guy who just left her just for no reason. But she falls for them though. Like the guy who three timed her, or four times, whatever the heck it was, actually comes back and tries to ask her out, and she just agrees to it. And she's like, "Oh, I'm just gonna just do it for him because and then let him off." But it was, oh my gosh, it was the stupidest thing ever. And she's always, because okay, Usa's a virgin, right? And she's always like hitting him with that thing, like, oh, well, you just don't know, you don't know how it feels, and like she tries to like fake flirt with him, but he always rejects her because he's only concerned with Ritsu. And so she like gets pissed off because he's not paying attention to her. But then when he does, I mean, when she thinks he's paying attention to her, she calls him a pervert virgin who doesn't know anything. And it's like she's the freaking hilarious. But Sayaka is the most bitch character in this entire season. Like I actually hated her because of how antagonist. She's a very sadistic, manipulative bitch. I'm being serious. She's like the worst character in the entire show, and it's strictly because she uses men. Like she's I think like in her second year of college, and she went through this whole makeover phase to make herself look better and like more beautiful. And she's always going out with guys left and right, and then dumping them in like 2 weeks. And she's always rubbing it off on Mayumi because she's like, oh, well, I can get any guy, and you're over here fighting because you can't find a good guy. And they have a rivalry, and even though they hate each other to the core, so they work together against Usa because like there's moments where Sayaka gives Usa some advice to get with Ritsu, and it always backfires because she tells him, she basically does whatever to make his life miserable. Mayumi does the same thing, but not as bad as her. Like she's just sadistic as hell. She has issues, man. Like she's the worst character ever. Oh my gosh, it's dumb. But let's move on to the next part. Alright, so the last part of this video is essentially a rating. I know that I said I was going to stop doing ratings, but this is going to be a little different. I'm not going to go from 1 to 10. I'm going to do in terms of how whether I think you guys should go watch the show or not. Now, the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to do it's finish it, which is essentially just watch the series as a whole. Watch it is going to mean like watch at least till the halfway mark, and if by the halfway mark you don't care, just stop watching it. If you do, then complete it, obviously. Then you have the check it out, which is essentially watch at least the first 2 episodes. If the first 2 episodes don't hook you, then it's probably not going to be worth it for you to watch it. And then there's going to be just don't bother, which is essentially don't even. I don't think it's good enough for you guys to go check out and watch. So for this first anime time with this setup, I say for you, even though I like the show, not everybody likes rom-com. So the way I'm going to set it up is I'm going to say that for the Kawai Complex Guide to Manners and Hostile Behaviors, check it out. And then decide for yourselves whether you think it's going to be worth your time to finish it. I will leave a link in the description to Crunchyroll so you guys go watch it. It is, I'm pretty sure since all the episodes have been out for like a couple weeks, you can watch them without having an actual like an actual account where you actually are like a premium member. So I suggest if you do consider checking it out, I'll leave a link in the description so you guys can go watch it there. But anyways, guys, that's gonna be it for this review. This anime time. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you guys feel about this whole setup. I decided to kind of like evolve a little bit at least and try to get better at doing these video things. So let me know down below what you thought. But anyways, guys, that's gonna be it for this review. This anime time. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm SoresanCrockxen, and I'll see you guys in future videos.